We are discussing now the concepts of deficits, having discussed the basic aspects as well as the different types of budgets and the structure of budget. The deficits term is very familiar in the media, among the people, among the aspirants. So first we need to understand what is the meaning of deficit. You must know when the total expenditure of the government exceeds the total receipts, deficit occurs. Simply thinking, uh, whenever, just like suppose government earning is less and spending is more, obviously there will be a gap in the earning and the spending, and that is referred to as deficit in a layman term. Technically, it is the difference of the total receipts and total expenditure of the government. As far as the concept of deficit is concerned, generally there is a perception that deficit is very bad thing and should not be happen. But technically, and when we talk as an expert, then we'll come to know that uh, for countries like India, like developing nations, deficit budgets are considered a positive aspects and positive indication because it reflects government commitments towards developmental activities, towards welfare activities. Therefore, for a country like India, deficit budgets are inevitable. In fact, the issue is that suppose government plans the expenditure according to the earning, so in such a condition, many work will not be done. So government has to choose either they want to spend only according to the income, or first they are setting the priority of development and social welfare. So generally, in a welfare government, in a uh, developing nations, in a democratic countries, first government decides the targets, decide the targets, fix the priorities, and they plan accordingly. So obviously, in such a condition, when the expenditure will be more and earning will be less, the gap could be arranged by the government somehow, and that difference is called the deficits. In technical term, you can say that when total expenditure of the government exceeds the total receipts, deficit occurs, and deficit budgets are considered positive indication for developing nations like India because it reflects government's commitment towards developmental and social welfare activities. But one thing important here, if the size of deficit is as much as that it could be managed, it could be financed without any extra burden on the existing resources, in such a condition this deficit would be considered as sustainable deficit. Sustainable deficit means this could be beared by the economy without any extra pressure. But if the size of deficit is very large and it's so large that it just overburdened on the economy and the resources, that will be unsustainable, and unsustainable deficits may stand the nation, may bring the economy in a situation of debt trap. Debt means loan. Debt trap is a phrase and it has been a question twice in UPSC. Debt trap means one loan for another. So obviously when the size of deficit will be much larger, government will have to take the loan to finance the deficit, and if the size of loan will be larger, obviously government will have to take another loan for to pay the loan obligations. In such a way, that is called that kind of situation is referred to as debt trap. Though it didn't happen in India, but it could be possible. Now come on the point. When you see the annual budget of the government, I will show you also four types of deficits are reflected in the annual budget, and name must be also clear. In books, in literature, you may get some more types of deficits. In a different perspective, the types are reflected, but in practice, our government is reflecting only four types of deficits in their budget document, and it is reflecting on your screen also. The first one is revenue deficit. Revenue deficit is equal to revenue expenditure minus revenue receipt. In fact, these deficits are certain equations, and that must be remembered to all of you because this is very important area of question. As far as revenue deficit is concerned, the meaning is reflecting here, but it could be more clear to you when we go to the structure of budget, all as we have already discussed. The structure of budget here, just you can see here. I know budget was divided in two parts: revenue budget, capital budget, and revenue budget was also divided into revenue expenditure and revenue receipts. Revenue deficit is the difference of revenue expenditure and revenue receipts. So that's why revenue deficit is equal to revenue expenditure minus revenue receipts. Okay, so I think it's clear to you. Only you have to remember this equation, and later on when we discuss the concept, then things will be clear to you. Second one is effective revenue deficit. Effective revenue deficit, it's a new inclusion under the concept because it was adopted around 2012-13 to analyze the economies in some different ways. And there is equation: effective revenue deficit is equal to revenue deficit minus grants for the creation of capital assets. Try to understand the meaning of grants for the creation of capital assets. Every year through the budget, central government provides fund to the state governments for the construction of schools, colleges, hospitals, and this is called grants for the creation of capital assets. So it's a regular phenomenon. So having been paid by the central to a state, what is the size of deficit? What is the actual size of revenue deficit? So the amount of grant is deducted from the revenue deficit, and thereafter we get effective revenue deficit. So it's a concept you'll have to remember. Next is the fiscal deficit, and this is rather important, also called financial deficit. Fiscal deficit is equal to total expenditure minus total receipts, but under total receipts borrowings are not included, because borrowings means loan taken by the government is not the earning of the government. So this is deducted from here, this is excluded. That's why along with the total receipts, excluding borrowings have been given here. And as a whole, this is termed as non-debt receipt. Non-debt receipt means such receipts under which debts are not included. And there is another equation: fiscal deficit is equal to public debts and other liabilities. So there are two equations here, we'll discuss in detail. Fourth deficit is primary deficit is equal to fiscal deficit minus interest payments. Government is taking loan from outside the country, from inside the country, and every year regular interest are being paid. So after deducting the interest payment, what is the size of deficit? That is reflected through the primary deficit. Okay. So in fact, deficit is only one, that is fiscal deficit. But as far as rest of the three deficits are concerned, these are used by the government and the experts and the economists for the different kind of economic analysis, for the monitoring of policies, and to formulate the different policies for the respective areas. One more types have been given here: twin deficit. It's not reflected, it's a conceptual issue and has been the question also. Twin means two, twin deficit, just try to understand. Twin deficit is equal to fiscal deficit plus current account deficit of balance of payment. In fact, the concept of twin deficit is used for the economic evaluation and the economic condition of a country, to analyze the economic condition of a country. Why? Because both these deficits, fiscal deficit reflects the internal economic condition of a country, and current account deficit of balance of payment, we have already talked about that, reflects the external financial situation of a country. If both the deficits are higher, it means that the country's internal and external situations are in trouble. So this is used as an indicator to analyze the economic condition of a country. It is not reflected under the budget. Okay. So out of these four or five types of deficits, basically four types of deficits are reflected. Fiscal deficit is more important, and this is the largest deficit of the government, also called uh, financial deficit. And here two equations have been given. First equation is clarifying the meaning of fiscal deficit, and second equation, that is fiscal deficit is equal to public debts and other liabilities, reflects in what way the deficit is financed. Here we'll have to stop and discuss in detail. The story is that before 1997, the largest deficit of the government was known as budget deficit. Nowadays, this is not reflecting here. Budget deficit was the largest deficit before 1997. And whatever was the size of deficit, that was financed through printing new currency notes. Suppose if the difference between income and expenditure of the government before 97 was 3 lakh crore, so in the equivalent amount of the deficit, new currency notes were printed, and broadly 1 rupee note was printed for that particular purpose. The obligation of the 1 rupee notes goes to the government of India. That's why India and Bharat has been inscripted over them, and that's why you might have seen that since 97, when this process was stopped, scrapped, thereafter 1 rupee notes are available in a lesser amount. Seldom you will see the paper note of 1 rupee note. It is managed somehow through the coins. So around those days, government appointed a committee around 95-96 that was known as Sukhmay Chakravarti Committee. It was an expert committee to consider all these issues, and that committee strongly recommended that the mechanism of financing the budget deficit by printing new currency notes should be scrapped, should be stopped. They told that on the one hand you are talking about the globalization, on the other hand you are just using such a old and traditional method to finance the fiscal deficit. So that system was scrapped in those days, and thereafter in the place of budget deficit, the concept of fiscal deficit was adopted. And since 97, the fiscal deficit is being financed through the public debts. Public debts means government takes loan from the market, from the financial system. So since then, what is happening? A new mechanism was adopted, that is called Ways and Means Advances, WMA. Under WMA, both RBI and Government of India meeting together just decide the size of the deficit, and the equivalent amount of the deficit is borrowed by government through RBI from the economy. Economy means from the financial system, from the money market, from the national financial system. We have already discussed about that, and that's why the fiscal deficit becomes equivalent to public debts and other liabilities. Other liabilities means if government is taking any other alternate step to finance the deficits, so that's why it is reflected in terms of other deficits. Say for example, suppose this year budget was the budget 2020-21, and government decided to spend approximately 28 lakh crore. Government expenditure was approx 28 lakh crore while the government receipts, total receipts, was around 20 to 23 lakh crore in round figure. So the gap is of around 6 to 7 lakh crore. So this 6 to 7 lakh crore will be known as fiscal deficit, and this will be financed through the public debts, means taking loan from the public, from the economy. So suppose if the size of deficit will be more and more, it means there will be a more loan burden over the government, and this loan is being taken by the government, borrowed by the government from the market. So there will be higher demand of loan in the market. In such a condition, the rate of interest may rise. When the rate of interest will be rise in the market, this will affect the entire economy. The rate of interest will be higher, investment will be dampened, investment will be discouraged, projects will be hampered on the one hand. On the other hand, a huge amount will come to the government from the market for the financing of the deficit. That is called crowding out. Crowding out, it's a phrase. Crowding out means how much fund is coming from the public side, from the market side, to the government side to finance the deficit. And that's why you must remember that the issue of fiscal deficit has been always an issue of critical financial challenge in front of all the governments. Therefore, governments try to reduce it, manage it somehow without compromising to the developmental activities. Think simply, suppose government wants to reduce the deficit, what could be the possible steps? Government can consider three steps: increasing income, increasing revenue, reducing unnecessary expenditure, and considering the both aspects. Generally, government considers the both of the issues. In the past years, if you could recall, implementation of GST, rationalization of different kind of taxes, that is the main motive of the government, that without putting extra burden over the government, try to generate more and more tax revenue. On the other hand, reducing unnecessary expenditure. Unnecessary expenditure means if it is given, this kind of expenditure that is done carelessly, if those kind of expenditure are removed, there is no negative impact on the condition of the economy and the condition of the public. Say for example, I can give you so many example like rationalization of LPG gas subsidy. Earlier each and everyone in the country, even Mukesh Ambani and all the industries, were getting subsidy 200, 300 rupees from the government, because no one was clear, because government was giving subsidy to each and everyone. When government recognized, took the notice on this issue, and Prime Minister gave a call to the whole nation, those who deserve, those who do not want to take subsidy, those who are well-to-do, earning too much, they do not need subsidy actually, but it is up to them. They should leave the subsidy deliberately. And you'll be surprised to know, everyone knows that more than 1 crore people left the subsidy, and government became able to save huge amount, and that amount has been translated, has been transferred to the poor people by providing them LPG gas cylinder connection, initially free, under the Ujala scheme. So that is going on. So it's a beneficial thing. Later on, a lot of other rational steps have been taken, like that those who are earning that the income of a person is exceeding 10 lakh annually, they won't be able to take the benefit of subsidy. A rationing of subsidy means of a family, those who are getting the subsidy on the LPG gas cylinder, they could avail the benefit of subsidy only on 12 cylinders. Exceeding 12, they will have to pay the market value. One more important thing, DBT, direct benefit transfer mechanism, has been adopted. When subsidy is being transferred directly into the account, So as per the government record doing so, adopting DBT, government has been able to save around 32 to 36,000 crore subsidy. So these kind of steps. One more example I can give you here. Early before 2015, a huge amount, around 60,000 crore annual subsidy was given on the diesel because diesel was used by the farmers. But in the name of farmers, each and everyone was getting the benefit. Government decided to remove the diesel subsidy. Before 2015, if I could recall, various committees were appointed by the government to consider the fiscal deficit issues, and they strongly suggested that diesel subsidy should be removed. But it was not easy for any government to remove the diesel subsidy. But when the new government came into power, they took bold steps. Why? Because around 2015-16, if you could recall, the prices of crude oil in the international market was automatically falling, and it was just a coincidence government got the chance to remove the diesel subsidy, and there was no hue and cry, no one opposed it. So in this way, there are certain so many examples in this perspective. The government just tried to reduce the unnecessary subsidies. So in this way, reducing subsidy means reducing unnecessary expenditure. Okay. So there's a lot of steps have been taken, and some technical and some more legal steps have been also taken. We'll just consider here one by one. Concept of fiscal deficit, deficit financing in India. Deficit financing in India means in what way deficit is being financed. Though I have already clarified you, deficit is being financed in our country since 97 through the public debts, borrowing by the government through RBI. The same thing has been mentioned here. Just go through. Deficit financing is defined as borrowing from the Reserve Bank of India against the issue of treasury bills and running down of accumulated cash balances. When the government borrows from the Reserve Bank of India, it merely transfers its securities to the bank on the basis of these securities. The bank issues more currency and puts them into circulation on behalf of the government. This amounts to the creation of money. A rationale for deficit financing. Sometimes the government fails to mobilize adequate resources. In this situation, the option of deficit financing is required to meet fiscal deficit targets. If the option of the deficit financing is not utilized, the government ends up compromising the growth targets. Obviously, if the government will not receive the desired revenue, government will have to compromise with the targets. But here one more important fact is that mentioned here, FRBM Act. FRBM Act is considered one of the landmark initiative in our country to resolve the issues relating to the fiscal deficit. Not mentioned here, India is the third country in the world after New Zealand and America that brought such an act to resolve the issue of fiscal deficit. Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act 2003, FRBM Act, is a very famous act, is an act of the Parliament of India to institutionalize financial discipline, reduce India's fiscal deficit, improve macroeconomic management, and the overall management of the public funds by moving towards a balanced budget. In the same point, the target will be mentioned to you. These are the objectives of the FRBM Act as designed by the government. A reduction of fiscal deficit and revenue deficit. This is the main objective. This is the main objective of this act. Reduction of fiscal deficit, not mentioned here, by 3% and removing revenue deficit. To achieve their intergenerational equity in the fiscal management by reducing the debt burden of the future generation. Achieving long-term macroeconomic stability, better coordination between fiscal and monetary policy, transparency in fiscal operations of the government, major provisions of the FRBM Act 2003. The FRBM rules set a target reduction of the fiscal deficit to 3% of the GDP by 2008-9. In fact, when this act was enacted, these were the initial targets. Later on, these have been changed. This will be realized with an annual reduction target of 0.3% of GDP per year by the central government. A revenue deficit has to be reduced by 0.5% of the GDP per year with a complete elimination by 2008. The whole meaning is that it was targeted under this act in 2003-4 when it was enacted, that gradually reducing government will try to reduce the fiscal deficit up to 3% of GDP, and by 8-9 as well as the revenue deficit will be gradually reducing. This will be removed completely, eliminated completely by 2008-9. That is the whole thing. There are some other suggestions like reduction. Public debt means loan taken by the government should be also reduced. Government has to take appropriate measures to reduce the fiscal deficit and revenue deficit so as to eliminate revenue deficit 8-9. Thereafter, sizable revenue surplus has to be created. So these were the suggestions. These were the suggestions for the government under this act. And but later on, this act was amended also in 2012. So thereafter, this amendment is effective. Amendment to the FRBM Act, Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act 2003 was amended in 2012, that mandated the central government to lay before the House of Parliament macroeconomic framework statement, medium term fiscal policy statement, and fiscal policy strategy. In fact, it was suggestion to the government in what way government should achieve the target. And here I would like to communicate you that from time to time, after enactment of this act, committees were appointed to review the targets and for rational suggestions. And the latest committee that was appointed by the government for reviewing the FRBM Act is now known as NK Singh Committee. NK Singh is a well-known name in our country, well-known diplomat and retired IS, and having too much knowledge in all these areas in the finances. Was set up in 2016 to review the FRBM Act, recommended that the government must target a fiscal deficit of 3% of the GDP in the years up to March 20 and subsequently cut it to 2.8% in 2021 and 2.5% by 23. So this is the final target. NK Singh Committee recommended that government should try to reduce the fiscal deficit to 2.5% of GDP by 2023. Some more recommendations we'll discuss here. I told you about the ways and means advances. This is the mechanism that how deficit should be financed. So deficit is financed through the public debts, and that's why the entire deficit is equivalent to the public debts and other liabilities. FRBM Act 2003, the same thing has been mentioned here. Fiscal responsibility, okay, the same thing has been mentioned. There are some more recommendations by the NK Singh Committee in 2017. Combined debt to GDP ratio of the center and state brought down to 60%. Loan taken by both the central and state government should be reduced to 60% of GDP. It means that if it is up to 60%, there is no problem. In the recent past, it was more than that. Fiscal deficit to be reduced to 3.5%. It was in 17 to 2.5% 23. We already discussed. Remove revenue deficit. Golden rule to be followed, not to finance governments for day-to-day expenditure through borrowings. Government should not be financed for day-to-day expenditure for the borrowings. So government should not be dependent over the borrowings. Formation of fiscal council to advise government. Encasing committee suggested that there should be a fiscal council, and this council will advise government from time to time regarding the fiscal deficit. Okay, escape clause refers to the flexibility to go above or below of the fiscal deficit targets 0.5% as escape clause. Escape clause means it is a kind of flexibility. Achieving fiscal deficit targets is not an easy task for any government. So it does not mean that we should be so much strict over that. It should be just reduce at any cost. No. Government must have certain space and flexibility to achieve the targets. So that flexibility called fiscal flexibility, and the provision in the recommendation is called escape clause. So these were certain recommendations of encasing committee. In future, if there is any committee appointed to review, it is your duty as an aspirant to cover up it uh, through the current affairs, because certainly there will be a question over there, because I have seen the question when this encasing committee report was presented in 2017. So that's the way of asking question in UPSC, so you'll have to be cautious for that. Here there are some possible impacts of high fiscal deficit. Meaning is that suppose if the fiscal deficit is high, what could be the possible impact on economy? Obviously, government borrowing will be more. If the government borrowing will be more, the role of demand will be more in the market. So that will affect the high interest rate. Private firms borrow less. Obviously, private firms do not invest in new projects, obviously, because the rate of interest is higher. Adverse impact on employment and income, obviously, crowding out effect. Government may have to borrow from foreign sources at high interest rate, though it doesn't necessarily going to be happen, but it might be possible. If the government borrowing will be higher and the fiscal deficit will be higher, government may think to borrow from the foreign sources. So these are some certain possible impact of the fiscal deficit, and that's why it has been always an issue of critical challenge in front of all the governments. Okay. So lastly, in this chapter, there is a topic here, the Finance Commission, Article 280, and you might have heard about the Finance Commission. In fact, this is discussed in detail under Indian polity and governance, but here we must have some conceptual aspects, conceptual issues. You must remember that as per Article 280 of the Indian Constitution, the President of India appoints a Finance Commission after every 5 years. Finance Commission comprises one chairman and four members. Till now, 15th Finance Commission has been appointed. The chairman of first commission was K.C. Niyogi. It was in 1951. First of every initiative is always important. 15th Finance Commission was appointed by the government, and when it was appointed in 2018, by 19 the report was to be submitted, because it was going to be implemented from 1st April 2020 for the next 5 years. But meanwhile, what happened? A lot of changes were in our economy, like formation of new states. Like the recent example is the removal of Article 370 and the consequent changes in the state and Ladakh, Jammu and Kashmir, all these things. So that's why encasing committee decided to submit two reports. First report has been submitted, and this will be effective only for the financial year 2020-21. And by the end of 2020, second report will be submitted, and this will be applicable for the next 4 years. So that the process is going on. As far as the main functions of the Finance Commission is concerned, you must remember some of the points, because these are being repeatedly asked in the examination. The first point is the main function is to decide the share of state governments in the total shareable taxes of the central government. It is the constitutional provision. Central government has to share Whatever the taxes are collected by the central government has to share with the states. 14th Finance Commission decided it 42%. So 42% of the central taxes would be shared with the state governments. So what could be the new ratio that is decided by the Finance Commission? In the first report, Encassing Committee had recommended the 42%, but now yet to be seen what is happening in the second report. So this is the first important function of Finance Commission, to decide the share of state governments in the shareable taxes of the central government. You must remember that since the year 2000, when the 100th amendment was brought, all taxes collected by the central government has been made shareable to the states. Okay. Second function is that to decide the principles for the grant in aid under constitutional provision extended by the central government to a state government. There are certain provision under Indian Constitution under which there is a provision that the central government will give grant in aid to the state governments. So what could be the principle on what basis this grant will be distributed among the states? So for that particular purpose, principle is developed by the Finance Commission. Important task. One more task to the Finance Commission is, if any financial problem, any financial dispute is resolved, it involved between a center and a state and more than two states and three states, this is also resolved with the help of Finance Commission. And lastly, it is up to the President of India. If President of India is referring any other duty, any other function to the Finance Commission, that is also taken care of by the Finance Commission. So this, it was all about the Finance Commission. And lastly, I would like to show you the budget at a glance. Budget at a glance means these are the conceptual facts, and it's better to talk over them. Budget at a glance. Here you can see that uh, 4 years. You'll remember, in annual budget of the government, the income and expenditure of the government for the 4 consecutive years are reflected. 4 consecutive years. When this budget 2020-21 was presented, the previous current year was going on, and even the new financial year is going to be started on the 1st April. So what is the relationship between them? Actuals of the last budget that has been completed. The budget estimation of the current year, it was estimated 1 year back, and at the time of budget it is revised. Year is same year, 2019-20 and 19-20. This figure was estimated 1 year back, and now this was revised at the time of budget. And this is the budget estimation BE for the next budget. So once again, by the next year, then under the budget, this budget estimation will be revised. Okay. So you remember that under annual budget of the central government, the details of income and expenditure for 3 consecutive years. Columns are 4, but second and third column belongs to the same year, current year. So columns are 4, but details are available for the 3 consecutive years. Okay. And one more thing I would like to share with you. I told you that 4 deficits are reflected. So these are the 4 deficits: revenue deficit, uh, effective revenue deficit, fiscal deficit, and primary deficit. And these are, apart from the figures, these are also reflected in terms of the percentage of GDP. So you may see here, this year the government target was to reduce fiscal deficit up to 3.3% of GDP. But government failed to achieve the target due to different adverse macroeconomic condition, and government fiscal deficit was 3.8%. Now government has targeted the fiscal deficit by the next year 3.5%. So year on year under the budget these figures are reflected. But nowadays, having seen the economic impact of COVID-19 and some other macroeconomic situations, global economic conditions, it's not looking possible that the government would be able to achieve the targets of fiscal deficit of 2.5% by 2023 that has been set by the NKC committee, suggested by the NKC committee. But as an aspirant, we'll have to be rational, we'll have to be practical, we'll have to be positive. Always try to be positive. So when you think something, when you write something, that must be ended on a positive note. Okay, always remember for this examination, there is no chance for any sluggish matter, any sluggish idea. Okay, so you'll have to be practical, you'll have to be pragmatic, you'll have to be positive. So it was all about the fiscal system. Uh, Under fiscal system, we just tried to discuss each and every topic in detail as much as possible. And I can hope that if there is any question in prelims or mains, you will get the questions. One thing you'll have to do from your own side, that we'll have to cover up the any new events, any new initiatives, if it is going to be taking place before your examination. So having discussed all this topic, I hope that uh, you will get benefited as much as possible. So thanks to all of you.